You are listening to Zimbabwe News. Keep listening to Zimbabwe News.
This evening, these are the headline stories.
Palestine and Qatar pledged to cement bilateral ties with Zimbabwe through exploring investment opportunities.
Zimbabwean economy is set to grow by 7.8% by end of year.
This was announced by Professor Mtuli when he presented the midterm fiscal policy in Harare. In other news, Zimbabwe on the right path to achieving herd immunity as more COVID-19 vaccines arrive.
Our foreign news editor Olindore will update us from the Robert Mugabe International Airport.
And in sport, Black Rhinos Queens face Zambian and Namibian sides in the COSAFA Women's Champions League.
Ian Shoma will bring us that report and a whole lot more sporting news. Let's start off now with our leading story.
As the country marches towards an upper middle income economy,
Fiscal policy review presented by the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Professor Mtuli at Parliament, indeed resonates with the aspirations of many, courtesy of the strong foundation created by the Transitional Stabilization Program 3 years ago, which has witnessed the economy becoming more resilient and stabilized.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the domestic GDP growth for the year 2021 is projected to remain strong at 7.8%. Slightly above the 2021 national budget growth forecast of 7.4%. The strong rebound of the economy is anchored on better 2020-2021 rainfall season, which is and higher international mineral commodity prices, stable macroeconomic environment, and the COVID-19 pandemic response measures, including the vaccination program, which is underway.
Efforts to arrest money supply growth through prudent spending and tight budgetary controls have produced tangible results, with inflation expected to further decline by the end of the year.
The latest figure in July is showing a very sharp drop indeed. The July year-on-year inflation is now at 56.37% year-on-year and 2.56% on a month-on-month basis. A sharp drop indeed, well below that mark of 100%. The current price and exchange rate stability will go a long way in supporting industry in making long-term investment decisions and allow for the efficient allocation of resources.
The improving current account position through increased exports and diaspora remittances will be a major boost for economic growth.
Merchandise exports are projected to increase by 4.2% from 4.93 billion in 2020 to 5.14 billion in 2021. Mineral exports are expected to maintain strong growth on account of the continued strong performances in the platinum group of metals, the PGMs, and recovery in chrome and high carbon ferrochrome exports. Food imports will, however, be lower on account of the reduced maize imports following a good, excellent 2020-2021 agricultural season.
Despite COVID-19 weighing down on the economy, Treasury has mobilized internal resources to prevail over the situation.
In view of the persistent COVID-19 pandemic, intensive vaccination remains an unavoidable and a long-term solution to save lives and livelihoods, utilizing the savings from last year in the main. To date, resources amounting to $93.2 million have been spent on vaccines acquisition alone, Mr. Speaker. Government has set aside $100 million for vaccine acquisition.
It is against this background that Treasury has decided not to unveil a supplementary budget for the remainder of the year.
There are no policy changes, as I believe the existing policies are achieving the desired results and are still adequate.
Despite the improvements in the macroeconomic environment, Treasury is continuing with measures to increase social safety nets for those facing difficulties in earning a decent living. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
That was Finance and Economic Development Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube as he presented the 2021 midterm fiscal review this afternoon, expressing that Treasury has opted to focus on consolidating economic transformation.
Now, the midterm fiscal review has received a stamp of approval from parliamentarians for prioritizing infrastructure development and consolidating economic stability despite the impact of COVID-19. Tendai Munengo has that report.
Legislators from across the political divide have expressed dissatisfaction with the implementation of the 2021 national budget over the past 6 months.
We are doing well in ensuring that our people finance what we then eat or we then enjoy, like our roads.
Value addition is the backbone of NDS1. When are we going to start to value add our minerals?
A lot of money is needed in order to protect those kids that are going to schools. You would also want to use quite a bit of your budget and your surplus to assist these kids so that they don't fall prey to this pandemic.
Others spoke growingly on efforts by Finance and Economic Development Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube to implement a local funding strategy for development and social services programs.
The productive sector, kuma basics kumamisha kusiya so ngati vakudzei ngatiite kuti munhu kusiya so nhasi ari pasiya so asi mangwana can become an industrialist.
Most of our people are not benefiting from the formal economy where the exchange rate is around 83. The people in Zimbabwe and others, they know that the exchange rate is around 150. What steps is the Honourable Minister taking to make sure that there is a closure between these two economies that are actually operating?
There was consensus that economic development policies, strategic allocation of funds and monetary policies have put the country on a growth trajectory. Tendai Munengo, ZBC News, Parliament.
The projected further decline in the rate of inflation has given more hope to industry as it targets to leverage on this recovery to ramp up production.
According to the midterm budget review presented in Parliament this Thursday, month-on-month inflation is expected to stabilize with projections that year-on-year inflation figures will decline by the end of this year. Such a projection is good news for industry, which expects to leverage on this outlook to ramp up production.
We have the macroeconomic environment that shows stability through, for example, the issues to do with, we are talking of the policies. And these policies now, what we need to do is to move with them, work by them, and support government's agenda in bringing out policies.
The manufacturing sector is confident the midterm budget review presents a good conduit to improve capacity.
Yeah, indeed, I think the macroeconomic stability and the declining inflation numbers are quite welcome. It helps businesses with planning their investments and also planning, projecting where things are going to go.
We obviously are producing citrus, we are producing a lot of horticulture, which of course we really need to sort of scale up. But however, we obviously need to value add some of those products that we produce in this country.
While captains of industry have thrown their weight behind the midterm budget, they've also called on the fiscal authorities to be alive to a possible albatross moment that could be created by the parallel foreign currency markets. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
The country's relations with the international community continue to improve, with Palestine and Qatar pledging to cement bilateral ties with Zimbabwe through exploring investment opportunities. Now, this came out when new ambassadors of the two countries presented letters of credence to President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House in Harare this Thursday.
The Palestinian ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Tama Al-Masiri, was the first to present his credentials to President Emmerson Mnangagwa. He said they had a fruitful meeting where they exchanged notes on ways of strengthening bilateral ties between the two countries.
I'm glad that I'm posted here to help and to strengthen the Palestinian relation with Zimbabwe, and we, inshallah, will do together and we will cooperate together and we will coordinate our positions in all areas.
Next to present his credentials was Qatar ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Tariq Al-Ansari, who noted his country's desire to invest in various sectors of the Zimbabwean economy.
We are going to explore many opportunities of investment, of trade between the chambers of commerce in the area of livestock in Zimbabwe, the agriculture, the important minerals and mining sectors here in Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe is rich in these opportunities. my country depends so much on diversification of income. We are oil and gas and fossil fuel industry, but in the same time we have a policy to diversify our sources of income.
The Qatar ambassador to Zimbabwe will be based in South Africa. Zimbabwe enjoys cordial relations with Qatar, cemented by President Mnangagwa's state visit in 2018. Bruce Chawanda, ZBC News, Harare.
The widow of former President Kenan Banana, Mrs. Janet Madade Banana, has died. She was 83.
A somber atmosphere has engulfed the nation following the demise of the widow of former President Kenan Banana, Miss Janet Madade Banana. The late Janet's sister Sanele Ngwenya confirmed the sad development, adding that the Banana and Mabunyane families are in deep shock.
Ugulile udadewethu. Ugulile sibili ngathi phose okweminyaka emini kumchukile sibili. Kumchuke kakhulu ngokuthi besehlezi esiya esibhedlela. Yena ngokwakhe umama ubevele esekudialysis. So ubehamba ku dialysis twice a week. Sishiye namhla ekuseni ngo 9 minutes past 9 ngebhathi njalo umama wase nyamalala.
The late Janet Banana, who was born on the 20th of January 1938, is survived by 3 children and several grandchildren. Mourners are gathered at house number 99 New Luveve in Bulawayo. Innocent Nxumalo, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa has sent a message of condolences to the Banana family following the death of Mrs. Janet Mbuyazwe Banana, widow of former President Kenan Banana. Mrs. Banana died this morning at Matadale Hospital in Bulawayo. In his condolence message, President Mnangagwa said the country remembers her with fond memories and admiration for the important role she played during the struggle for independence. President Mnangagwa said during the struggle for independence, the late Mrs. Banana exhibited courage and bravery as she endured persistent harassment at the hands of the Rhodesians for supporting her husband. The president said the late Mrs. Banana, who will be accorded a state-assisted funeral, carried herself with simplicity and dignity. Meanwhile, President Mnangagwa has also sent a condolence message to the Haritatos family following the death of Mrs. Angela Haritatos, who died yesterday. Mrs. Haritatos is mother to the Deputy Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Resettlement, Honorable Evangelist Haritatos. The President expressed deepest condolence to the Haritatos family on behalf of Zanu-PF, government and his family. The government has clarified the issue of military deployments to neighboring Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province, which has been rocked by violent extremism since 2017.
In a media briefing at Defence House in Harare this Thursday, the Minister of Defence and War Veterans Affairs, Comrade Rupamchinguri Kashiri, explained government's position with regards to the current situation in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province.
While other countries pledged to deploy combat troops, Zimbabwe pledged to assist in training of Mozambique armed forces to enhance their capability to combat terrorism. Taking cognizance that there are 2 major elements to the deployment, namely combat and training. The status of force agreement signed on 8 July 2021 is confined to combat activities only. The status of force agreement pertaining to training is yet to be signed. It must therefore be noted that the countries that are currently deploying are doing so on the strength of the status of force agreement signed on 8 July 2021.
Comrade Mchinguri Kashiri also highlighted Zimbabwe's commitment to the SADC stand-by-force mission in Zimbabwe.
The public may be aware that the President and Commander-in-Chief of Zimbabwe Defense Forces has the power to authorize the deployment of the defense forces in terms of Section 213, subsection 1A of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is awaiting the signing of the status of force agreement, after which the Zimbabwe training contingent will be sent to Mozambique.
The Cabo Delgado province in northern Mozambique has been rocked by militant attacks, resulting in the gruesome torture and murder of innocent civilians. Memory Chamisa, ZBC News, Harare.
Turning our attention now to agriculture, government has handed over a consignment of tractors and implements to recapitalize the District Development Fund in order to assist farmers with tillage in the next summer cropping season.
The 1880 horsepower tractors and 9 raw seed drills were handed over to the District Development Fund DDF by the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Resettlement at a ceremony held in Harare this Thursday.
I hand over these 18 by 80 horsepower Belarus tractors and 9 by 8 row seed drills. This will ensure that the District Development Fund is able to execute their mandate of providing tillage services to the farming community.
In his remarks at the handover ceremony, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs in charge of monitoring implementation of government programs, Dr. Joram Kumbo, described the allotment of tillage machinery as a timely intervention which will boost preparations for the next summer cropping season.
The recapitalization of the District Development Fund tillage unit will go a long way in complementing the objective of the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Resettlement to enhance food production and productivity in the smallholder sector.
DDF has its pledge to put the machinery to good use.
To DDF employees, I want to say it is now difficult for us not to implement or to be seen giving the expected deliverables, because as government, the efforts which they are making, we must complement the same in implementing DDF projects.
The equipment secured under the first phase of the Belarus mechanization program is being distributed to the DDF tillage department, other government institutions and individual farmers. It is also expected to increase tillage by 50,000 hectares. Tentai Munengwa, ZBC News, Harare.
The Zimbabwe Revenue Authority has exposed a fuel smuggling syndicate after 3 trucks carrying water were intercepted at Chirundu border post en route to Zambia.
The Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, ZIMRA, recently intercepted 3 haulage trucks at Chirundu border post, supposedly ferrying water to Zambia. However, on checking the declaration documents, it was indeed discovered that they had declared fuel as the commodity on transit to Zambia. ZIMRA Loss Control Manager Tapio Manyika said the apprehension of the 2 truck drivers exposes the work of sophisticated fuel smuggling syndicates working in cahoots with unscrupulous ZIMRA officers.
It is declared as if it is going to Zambia or DRC. In actual fact, the fuel will be destined for Zimbabwean market, local consumption. So what they will then do is they will offload the fuel into the local market, then they will put water into those tanks. The idea behind putting water is that they would want also to get the correct weights when they are at Chirundu.
Mr. Manyika said the recent case resulted in the country being prejudiced over $40,000 in potential revenue from customs duty. Government has cited smuggling as a cancer to the economy, with revelations that last week the South African Police Service intercepted a consignment of unprocessed tobacco worth over $700,000 from Zimbabwe. It is unclear how this happened, but it also justifies the recent policy attempts by government to reform the tobacco industry so the country benefits from the marketing of the golden leaf. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
In more positive news, the First Lady Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa has been commended for transforming the country's healthcare system, breaking infertility stigma and supporting the girl child.
The First Lady Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, through the Angel of Hope Foundation, has reached out to the underprivileged, helping and raising awareness on healthcare issues. Her efforts have not gone unnoticed, with the international philanthropic organization Make Foundation expressing gratitude for her noble initiatives. In her opening remarks during the virtual Make Foundation 2021 Zimbabwe Annual Summit this Thursday, the institution's Chief Executive Officer, Senator Dr. Rasha College, expressed gratitude to the First Lady for uplifting livelihoods of the underprivileged across the country.
We have focused our efforts very much on Zimbabwe due to the active role that Her Excellency the First Lady she is giving to these programs. She wants to make a change, and this is a historic change for the first time. That's why me and Her Excellency the First Lady of Zimbabwe, we are working around the clock
Zimbabwe has more than 100 medical doctors studying outside the country in different fields such as fertility and embryology, oncology and diabetes, who have benefited from the partnership between the Angel of Hope Foundation and the Make Foundation.
I feel that I've been able to do everything that I've done in this year as a result of this scholarship, and I'd like to pay gratitude to the first Zimbabwean, the Make Foundation More Than a Mother, and the CEO of Make Foundation for affording me this career advancement opportunity.
This has helped in terms of improving my knowledge base and therefore translating in the quality of care that I offer to patients.
We value this partnership. It has increased skills and covered a skills gap, especially in the districts, where a lot of doctors are now involved in online courses in areas of non-communicable diseases.
Local media personalities who won the Make Foundation Media Awards in 2020 were equally grateful to the Mother of the Nation for the mentorship initiative, pledging their continued support towards breaking infertility, stigma, and raising awareness on health and social issues.
I really want to thank Dr. Rasha Khaled. I want to thank the Merck Foundation as well as Amai Mnangagwa for giving the African woman a voice, and I really applaud you for the work that you're doing.
It's truly an honor to be a recipient, of such a prestigious award. It's actually quite a great motivator for me to continue writing.
Getting this award made me more knowledgeable about the issues. It made me understand how to tackle them, and also where to find stories around infertility.
In her keynote address, the First Lady, who is also the Make More Than a Mother ambassador, underscored the need to open platforms for discussing strategies on the global crisis, such as the COVID-19 pandemic.
We will celebrate